Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the R List Atlanta show. This is the season finale, the last show of the season, and we have with us already on set the wonderful, the author, the writer, Shawn Dalton-Smith. It is a pleasure to have you with us tonight.
Thank
Yes,
you.
indeed. Yes,
Thank you.
indeed. So, James has already said, this is our season finale. Don't hold back in that chat room. We want to hear from you. We want to see what you have to say about tonight's show. But first, we're gonna start off with the drink of the week. You good with that, Sean?
I'm fine with that.
So this week, drink of the week, we're gonna do a flashback tonight, because I love it so much, and it's so easy to prepare. But it's gonna be your rum and your Coke garnished with cherries. Pretty much, you put just as much as rum as you like, as little or as much as you like, and you chase it with some Coke, and you shake it up really well to make sure not all the liquor's at the bottom or at the top, wherever you poured it at, and you garnish it with cherries, and then you have the classic rum and Coke
With cherry.
with cherry.
Hallelujah.
So everybody ready to indulge?
Let's give it a shot.
That's good. I remember those.
I just wish my cherries weren't at the bottom.
That means they'll be full of alcohol by the time they come to the top.
You know, I started soaking some fruit last night and some wine. I've been nibbling on all day long.
That's why you was tipsy coming in here.
Uh-huh.
Well, as you can already see, everybody, we have none other than the author, Shawn Dalton-Smith, here with us tonight. She's the author of Dreamers and Life After. And I want to open up the floor to you, Shawn, to give a little background about yourself and let the viewers know who you are.
Okay. As he said, I'm Shawn Dalton-Smith. I write adult paranormal romances. That means if you're under 18, please do not pick up my books.
No.
No. You can reach me at www.shawndaltonsmith.com. There you'll get information on how to buy the books. Actually, I started writing in college when I had a college professor try to tell me that romance novels were trash.
Oh, wow.
And I happened to have had one in my hand at the time. And we had to do a term paper for final exams.
Okay.
And when he looked at my term paper, put my A plus on the top, and then told me you can write whatever you want. I mean, you can read whatever you want to. And I was like, all right now. So I started writing regular romance. I didn't get into paranormals until about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I started doing paranormals because I have a wild imagination.
You just get to
A
go
good
wild.
imagination is
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I get to do things that people can't really do in life. It's a take you away book.
Okay.
Both of them are take you away books.
And I can concur. I can second that. I'm in the middle of reading Life After.
Mhm.
And that first sex scene was, like she said, 18 and under. But I was lifted, let's just say.
Some of the characters in that scene.
But I want to ask you more about the book, Life After.
Okay.
First and foremost, well, you pretty much answered that question already. What inspired you to start writing is that professor who said romance novels are trash.
Hmm.
I'm so glad you said that.
Thank you.
But what inspired you to write Life After itself?
Life After started off as a dream.
Okay.
There is a whole scene in the book. There's a scene at a party. That whole scene started out as a dream. I dreamed that there were a bunch of people at a party. They were all living in secret, and I couldn't figure out why. And I was at this party,
Mhm.
and people, you had all kinds there. There were Indians and feathers, and yeah. And I woke up and I was like, okay, this is wild. But then I started thinking about it, and I thought, well, what would be the reason for them living in secret? Why were they there?
Hmm.
And I sat down in front of my computer, and strangely enough, the words just came.
That's
Amazing.
good. They say it opens up like a faucet.
Yeah,
It opens up, and when it flows, you have to
Get
get it
while it's
down.
hot.
You
yeah.
have to get it down, and that's in writing, music, novels, anything poetry. I've heard that same thing
Absolutely.
over and over
Yeah.
again. When that moment hits, start writing it down
Yes.
and look at the result.
Right.
The next question I have for you: how much research was done to be able to describe the scenes so vividly? Again, guys, this is dealing with fantasy and
Mhm.
paranormal.
Right.
It's very detailed.
Mhm.
What type of research did you do in order to be able to convey that on the pages?
I had to take some pictures and incorporate it into the story from New Guinea
Okay.
because you find out later in the book that they're in the rainforest of New Guinea.
Hmm.
So I downloaded some pictures and used some of those to describe the scene. The rest of it was all my imagination. The building,
Mm.
the way the corridors looked, the rooms, that was my imagination.
Wow, very
Um,
vivid imagination.
and I also had to do some research on recessive genes
Okay.
because that has a a tie-in with the story and evolution.
Okay,
Yeah, I had to do a lot of research on evolution because I wanted to make sure I got everything
right. Well, guys,
So
get the
there.
book. Again, give them that website where they can go and get the book.
It's www.shawndaltonsmith.com. And you can get it on Amazon, Barnes
Right.
and Nobles, or the Red Sage website.
Cool, good. And what effect would you like Life After to have on the readers?
Well, I definitely want them to come away satisfied with the happy ending, but there's a deeper meaning in this book because the main character, Khalees, she's an it's all about me type character,
Okay.
and she's not a very forgiving character, and she has to learn what it means to truly forgive somebody. As a matter of fact, there's some things that she has to be forgiven for in
Okay.
this story. Um, but I just want everybody to come away with their sigh moment
Mhm.
where they were just like, I want to read it again.
Well, I
And
think it's doing that.
Yeah.
Definitely think it's doing that.
yeah, I'm like I was telling you earlier,
Mhm.
I'm getting in trouble reading the book. Like I was saying last week, I try to sneak it in and read it on lunch. If I get a break at work, read it. If I got all my work done, I try to get a couple pages in. It is a page turner. Everybody that I'm coming in contact with, I'm telling them about the book, and they need to read it. It's a very good read.
So thank you.
Good. So we're gonna go to commercial break.
Yes, we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to hop into the hot R topics. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that commercial break. Those are two of our favorite commercials.
I love them.
What do you think of that second one, Sean?
That is hilarious.
Only thing they need was the mother to walk in and die stiff.
Oh yeah.
Oh goodness. But we gotta move on into some hot art topics, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And we want to start off with none other than the Jackson family.
All right.
But I had a thought before we move into the Jacksons. I do want to take a moment to recognize the death of Sherman Hemsley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great guy. Is so unfortunate that we lost him. But he seemed to have lived a full life,
Yeah.
and he's made us all laugh with that George Jefferson shuffle.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
So we've been losing a lot of good
This
people
has
Yeah.
been a
lately.
very interesting few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of greats are falling off and leaving us. Makes you wonder.
Yeah, better get it right, people. But back to these Jacksons. If we're not talking about the noses, we're talking about the Jacksons. And tonight is the Jacksons. If anybody's been following it, I'm a little confused
Me too.
about this whole thing. To be honest with you, um, as it was been breaking on TMZ, even Al Sharpton had Randy call in on his show.
Mhm.
And all over the media it's been breaking about the disturbance at the Jackson home in California.
Mhm.
About Paris, the late Michael Jackson's daughter, tweeting out these different tweets saying that she hadn't seen her grandmother in so many days,
Mhm.
and she want to talk to her grandmother. She want to hear from her directly, and with it coming to, it started off with Mrs. Jackson, Mother Jackson, being missing, and then it comes out that she was in fact not missing at all. She was with Reby in Arizona.
Mhm.
So it's a whole lot of confusion, and then from what Randy said, it's all about the will. It's a distraction from the will.
Mhm.
They're challenging the authenticity of the will, because what he shared with Al Sharpton was that the day that Michael Jackson supposedly had signed this will that gave all his royalties and to his mother and his children, and giving the custody of his children to his mother, was actually the same day he was in New York with Al Sharpton
Mhm.
versus in California signing this
Signing.
will. So they send the executors, they want them to step down, and they want to challenge this will.
Mhm.
And they're saying that this whole thing about Harris and the other kids going through this stuff is a distraction by the executors. They kind of deflect the attention off the actual
Okay.
will,
Mhm.
which, like I said, it's confusing to me. I'm sure this is a more developing story.
Mhm.
But what I did get from this story, and I want to ask tonight, is um, why does it seem, especially when money is involved, that families are torn apart when it comes to distributing funds or monies or estates in a person's will? How do you feel that it's greed, or what are your feelings on that?
You want to talk for this one first?
Oh, sure. I think it's definitely greed. I read one of the articles where it said that they wanted their fair share. They didn't earn that money. They don't have a fair share.
Right.
Their fair share is whatever they make.
Ex- I agree with that.
Um, I think as far as the kids go, Michael Jackson, his mother was not the only person he named as the person he wanted to take care of those children. He also named Diana Ross.
Hmm.
So would they be doing this if Diana Ross had taken the kids?
I would. My guess would be yes.
And I think they would lose. I mean, who do I don't understand who they think should have the children because whoever has the children has the money.
And
That's the big
issue.
thing.
Yeah.
And from what I
there.
understand, his royalties or his estate has gotten to the point of being at least $1 billion.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of money. He's
Yeah.
worth a whole lot dead, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's how it often is.
Yeah.
But I do question if, in fact, that will was signed on a particular day,
Hmm.
and it is evident and even on film that Michael Jackson was not only in another state,
Hmm.
but on the other side of the country,
Hmm.
with someone who can testify, such as Al Sharpton, that they were indeed together, and they were together the entire weekend, and they did things together each day throughout that weekend.
Mhm.
I would challenge that will too. I think.
Well, if that's the truth, then the question becomes who gets the children and who gets the money.
Right.
I mean, it's going to become a big brawl. I mean, where's the real Will? I mean, I'm sure he had enough mind to know there's a real Will somewhere.
Right.
So where is it?
That's what I'm sure something is coming out because they're fighting.
Well,
They're
Yeah.
fighting.
anything dealing with the Jacksons is always going to be deeper than what we see on the surface. But this is going to be something to truly watch and follow.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And JC, I'd like to thank you from Atlanta for tuning in. As always, we definitely appreciate your support.
Yeah.
Um, in a lot of families, I do see a lot of greed come into play. Because, like you said, nobody worked for his money.
Right.
If he wanted to leave every penny to a homeless person on the streets, he can do that.
Right.
That he's never met before.
Right.
He can do that. So it's unfortunate, and hopefully it's not dividing the family, but it seems like it is
But
because the
Yeah.
cousin is involved at this time.
it always does. Whenever money, like the question itself, whenever money is involved in family, friends, or anything, there's some type of division there, and it's usually because of that greed, and it's unwarranted greed. This is money. These are things that that person had didn't have to work for at all, and you're trying to fight me for something that you've never had to work
Right.
Let's
for.
be honest. If $1 billion was up for grab, would you go in for it?
Yeah. but within reason. My personality is, if I have the opportunity to put my name in the pot and get something out of it, I'll try. But
Mhm.
once I realize that I'm starting to have to fight for something that I didn't work for,
Mhm. Exactly. I wouldn't feel like I was entitled
Right.
now if I can get it,
to.
oh
Yeah.
yes, oh yes, thank you.
All the way to the back. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Look at that.
Another tragic situation or thing that happened over the weekend at the premiere of Batman. It's been all over the news. If you
Yeah.
haven't seen it, that means you have no cell phone, no television, no internet, no nothing. You've been living in hiding or something.
Yeah.
But the tragedy that happened in Aurora, Colorado, where the young man goes in and he literally massacre
Hmm.
the people who were going to see the premiere of Batman.
Hmm.
Um, that's very unfortunate. He has had his first court appearance in court, and they were describing his demeanor, how he seemed to be vacant
Hmm.
and and not all the way there, even in court with his red hair and other things. And it was broke that his mother has always been concerned for her son because she said he's ill
Hmm.
mentally, and she's always been concerned. And quite frankly, she wasn't surprised when they called her in reference to her son. And the last thing that came out today, I'm not sure if you guys were able to catch it, but they saw that he failed a test because he was going to get his PhD at this point. Well, he failed a test, and shortly after him failing that test, he goes and buys some ammunition, and we know the result of that. Um, we do want to touch on this. I do respect what the people of Colorado are trying to do. They don't want to mention his name, and that's the reason why I'm specifically not saying his name because they don't want to bring fame to his name
Right.
over this tragic incident. But I want to ask you guys: do you feel that with him dressing up as the Joker or imitating the Joker, do you feel that movies and TV play a role in violence such as this?
No. No. I mean, it's not the entertainment's responsibility to make sure people do what's right.
Mhm.
You know right from wrong.
That starts at home.
Exactly. Exactly. You don't go and watch a movie and say, "Oh, I'm going to kill some people." I don't even understand that thinking.
Right.
There was a case a while ago when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out, and they said, well, kids were going down in the sewer looking for the turtles. Okay. If your child is young enough to believe the turtles are in the sewer, he should not be outside by himself.
Uh,
so,
It's true.
so I don't believe that entertainment is the cause of any of this.
Yeah.
what about you?
Well, first, my condolences to all of the families that are involved in this situation. But yeah, I don't think that we should place the blame on the media and all these things. Those are just outlets. I mean, how children, how people process things, I believe all of that begins at home.
Hmm.
And if parents and even the media a little bit more teach people how to determine the difference between the two, we maybe wouldn't have as much of this. But the biggest issue is I think this child just had some issues to begin with,
Hmm.
Mm,
and no matter what he watched or what was said to him, some he would have broken somewhere and done something.
Yeah.
in this instance, I would not blame TV or movies or media, because he is an adult, for one. For two, he's lived long enough. Somebody should have got him some type of help. Not saying that they didn't or a lack of trying, but I can't put the blame on Hollywood, so to speak.
Right.
But on the flip side of that coin, um, kids are impressionable, especially younger kids. And I've seen the Shreks, I've seen the Puss in the Boots, and all um, these animations that are geared. Well, I say they're not geared for kids because they be talking some mad adult stuff.
Yeah.
But they're
Mhm.
animation which kids want to go see. They target the kids. But I understand it may be you're trying to put language in there that would entertain the parents while they're taking their kids to the movies. But at the same time, I think some level of responsibility does fall back on Hollywood because these kids are so young and so impressionable, and we're exposing them to adult things so early. And so I think they have a share, but not the whole thing.
Okay.
But
This is where I have a I don't.
well, see, it's still not Hollywood's or the media's fault. They're just doing their job. They're just making their money. It's
Mhm.
that guardian's fault for
Exactly.
allowing that young person to be in front of that media.
Exactly. So I don't think that Hollywood is impressing these stories on the children. Somebody had to take them to see it.
Right.
True. But I don't know. I'll go back to my little kid days. I'm gonna take Snow White.
Hmm.
The way I look at Snow White when I was a kid, and that was geared to kids. I don't think I want any child to watch Snow White, and the reason why is it's a single woman living with seven men.
We have too many imaginations before this is set.
I'm just saying, it says the wrong. Little girls may think it's okay to stay with a whole bunch of men.
But see, I'm more of the thought that little girls would think it's okay to stay with a whole bunch of men if that's what mama's doing, not because they went to the movies.
True, and I'm not taking the parents off the hook. Trust me, I'm not. We need to censor what our kids watch, but at the same token, there needs to be some things out there that are for kids, and I think
Hmm.
we're running out of options that are quote unquote kid friendly.
Yeah.
I don't really think we're running out of options. I just don't think they're as mainstream as they used to be.
Right.
You
Because
know,
this show ain't no Reading Rainbow on TV anymore.
I miss reading Rainbow.
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood,
Now I had questions about Mr. Rogers. Now let's leave that one off the list.
Mr. Imaginary Man.
Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, he takes you to imaginary land.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
land of
but
imagination.
he was very friendly. He was a little too
What's
friendly.
wrong with being friendly?
No, no,
He took
no.
us on field
No,
trips
he
and
was just a little
everything.
too friendly.
And I agree with the viewer by saying that kids' movies are made for adults.
Well, even fairy tale. Well, how was it?
I mean, look at all of them. Rapunzel letting her hair down to sneak a boy in the house. Um, let me see who else. Sleeping Beauty, she can't wake up until a man kisses her. Um, what's some more fairy tales that we grew up on? I don't.
Little Red Riding Hood been eaten by the big bad wolf.
Oh,
Okay.
now, yeah. She's getting eaten. And we got the three pigs with somebody huffing and puffing on them. And I think I'm taking a little bit too far now, but still, nevertheless.
But it's still the parent's responsibility to explain fantasy and reality.
Right. So, parents, I suggest you take a more active role in what your kids watch, because they can get a lot of things out of it.
They can have some very creative minds and imagination, like what's up here on this set.
But when you get a writer on set, but we want to move on to our taboo topic of the night, and our taboo topic of the night is: do you feel that children of today need more corporal punishment? Why or why not? And for those, when I say corporal punishment, I mean they need a belt on their backside.
Why do you ask me this question? Why, Shawn?
I think some of them do. Not everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Some kids, all it takes is a look.
Mm-hmm.
But some kids, I saw a show the other day where the girl was on there bragging about how she punched her mama in the face because her mother took her cell phone.
Oh no.
Oh, really?
Oh no.
Really?
She needed one of those good old grandmama with the cluster of rings on it. One good.
Yeah.
Just one.
I had a grandmother that I don't know how she did it, but she used to walk. I guess we were some bad kids. She walked around with a belt around her neck, and it was buckled together, so it's like a ring around her neck. And all day, as she go along her day, she has that belt out. And when we step out of line, it's like in one motion she's able to whip it out and say, "Wow!" And once she whoops you, she beats you so bad you can't breathe when she's finished. And you have whips behind your ears, on your shoulders, on your back, on your legs, all on your toe, under your feet. And I'm like, but you know what? I appreciate those whoopings. And I do get what you're saying. That's not the answer to all things, because kids need to know why you're disciplining them, and not always putting a belt to them is the answer. But I think some of them need to be.
Yeah, but sometimes,
absolutely. Some kids need to feel something to go along with those words. I mean, no matter how you punish a child, I think you need to explain to them what's happening.
Yeah.
Even if you just send them to the room, you need to help children learn how to understand what's going on and process things versus just because I said so.
Right.
But there are some kids that just have to feel it at least once
to understand,
to get it.
Because someone shared a video with me on Facebook, and I believe this story took place in Texas, where this kid, he was 11 years old, between 8 and 11, somewhere in there. But his mom and I guess the family members ran a daycare. And they had little toddlers in there. And when I say toddlers, like 1-2-year-old kids. And this little boy was in there. As soon as the adult turned their back, he was choking the kids. He was drop kicking the babies. He was punching her. He was just, and it's all on film. And he's just terrorizing these kids and beating them. And these kids are going home with bust lips, bruises on their faces, and all kinds of things. And the mother ended up getting arrested. But the problem I had with the mother was, she said he take medication and all, and he bad, but he just a normal kid.
That's not normal.
What's normal about that?
That's a learned behavior.
Yeah, that's not normal.
Just one.
That's one of those sick
of those beatings.
No, not not so much the child in that situation. I don't really think the issue was the child. I think that's one of them situations where the parents need to be taken back and given a good, not even beaten, one of them SS
Mhm.
with an A in front.
Mhm. Yeah.
They need one of them because that's a learned behavior when a child is being that violent at that age.
Hmm.
They're seeing that.
And they made an excuse for him.
Yeah,
They
and
excused that.
in between her ebonics, that's the
Oh.
message that she sent
Oh.
out. But I don't know. I mean, she kind of sounded like Kate Michelle, but that's neither here nor there. But what I'm saying is, I don't know. Maybe we lost it somewhere around the way. My generation, and maybe the generation before me, because we seem to be that generation who used to get our kicked, but we don't do it anymore.
Well, that's because now your kids can call the police on
And that's enough to call 911 for you.
you.
I think that
Yeah.
was coming out when I was coming up. That was becoming popular, calling the
Yeah.
kids. But I had the type of mother who go ahead and take the phone off the hook for you
Oh yeah.
and give
Mhm.
you a race to the phone and see
Mhm.
if you make it there live. If you make it there
If you
live,
make
you
it
can
there-
go ahead and call. I wouldn't dare call the
I
phone.
wouldn't either.
I could even imagine to. But another thing that I do want to touch, since this is the season finale, and this is an election year, as we say on each show, it doesn't matter who you vote for. I want you guys to vote.
Just
That's
vote.
right.
And with all this ID laws coming, popping up everywhere, it's a ploy to discourage people from voting.
Mm-hmm.
Make
Mhm.
sure you have your things in order, so you can vote this election. And don't just vote for the president, vote for Congress. The
Right.
president just signs things into law.
Right.
Congress, which is made up of the House of Representatives and the Senate, are the ones who put together laws and pass laws in order for the president to sign. So if something that affects you is not getting done, stop placing the blame at whatever president we have after November.
Mm-hmm.
Place the blame on your senators, on your House of Representatives. We all know President Barack Obama's name,
Mhm.
but I really want to know how many of you out there know your local House of Representatives name
Well,
or your local senator.
people should stop placing the blame altogether and get involved. Educate themselves.
Mhm.
Start participating in what's going on in their communities and with their politicians. Change cannot happen if we don't make it. Change does not happen if we just sit back and say you, and you didn't do this. Get out there and make it happen.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's who it starts with. So vote.
Well, let me do what I do best.
It's over already.
It's that time of the evening. It's time for us to wrap up and get out of here. Not only for this particular show, but for the conclusion of season 2 of the Artlist Atlanta show. But I think we have another little bit more news to give the viewers.
Yes, Antonio Darrell. This is his final show for right now. I am gonna take some time off to get some other things wrapped up. Those of you who are a fan on my Facebook page, the Antonio Darrell fan page, you would know I'm in the middle of a production of a movie that I can't really go too deep in detail with. Also, I'm working on a few other projects, such as a play. I'm not going to be in it. I'm actually writing it. So in the process of doing that, and I'm in the process of finishing a book I've been working on for 6 years now.
I'm
Wow.
excited about it. I'm excited about it.
So I got to
Wonderful.
tie up some loose ends. Definitely tie up some loose ends, but you'll be seeing this face pretty often.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So all of our followers, we thank you for following us this far. Keep your eyes open. We may be back, but it's time for us to move on and tackle some other personal endeavors that we have and try and move on to bigger and greater things. And Sean, we definitely appreciate you having you on the show tonight. Now,
Yes.
I like being here.
before we go, I think a viewer had asked, "What do you think about turning was it Dreamers
Uh-huh.
into a movie or a play?
oh
Now, wouldn't that be something to watch?
yeah.
Wait a second, that couldn't play in regular theaters, could it?
Sure it could.
Sure it could. You just
You-
put an age restriction on it.
exactly.
You got to show ID 21 and older.
Or you could just do like they do in regular movies and don't show everything that's in the book. People read the book, they'll know what's going on in the bedroom.
That's true.
Right. We didn't see Miss Silly make out with Suge Avery.
Oh.
Too tough. But we read it in the book.
Well, before we get out of here, let the viewers know again how they can reach you and get the books.
Sure. You can reach me at www.ShawnDalton-Smith.com.
All right. Well, we love you, and we hope to see you somewhere in this great city in the future. So have a great night.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.